So the grounds crew right behind me prepares Beaver Stadium for one final game this year. I'm Willie Jungles, joined by John McGonigal, the Daily Collegian, for Bill O'Brien's daily press conference wrap-up on Tuesday. John, a lot of the emphasis obviously on the seniors since this is senior day.
Yeah.
What did you make of the press conference?
I think, O'Brien said what you thought he was going to say, talking about the seniors, talking about how he wants to send this group out on a high note. He mentioned that, last year with the whole, the emotions of it all, with 2012 right behind us on this east facade of Beaver Stadium, that was a big deal. And to him, coming from the NFL, and he understands now that the emotions that go into senior day and what his players will be feeling on Saturday. And we talked to Ty Howell and Malcolm Willis and those guys, and they feel the same way. It's going to be an emotional Saturday, definitely.
Now, I know he didn't really want to talk about it, but I asked him about the difference between, a 6-6 year compared to a 7-5 year, and they can clinch a winning season here against Nebraska this week. To you, how important is that, do you think, for this team? The difference between that record of a 7-5 or a 6-6 if they lose at Wisconsin the week after?
Right, and what O'Brien mentioned was that going into the offseason, having a winning record would be big, just for morale, something to build on. 6-6. You just look at it on paper and it's like, say it's 6-6, it's not a winning season. So if you come away 7-5, the season as a whole, you were assuming that, say they lose at Wisconsin or whatever, but 7-5 season would be big for this team, from an emotional perspective, and then also from a recruiting perspective. Say, hey, 2 years after these sanctions come down, we both have winning seasons afterwards.
You look at this Nebraska team now; they're without Taylor Martinez, but still a formidable opponent. What does Penn State need to do offensively, kind of get into a rhythm against a very good Nebraska defense?
Yeah, when you look at Penn State offensively, what you got to try and do is establish some kind of rhythm and tempo against Nebraska's defense. Nebraska's D likes to pressure the quarterback. They like to blitz a lot. Their linebackers are front seven, really create some pressure off the edge and up the middle. And so with Penn State's offense, you kind of have to establish the run early, maybe set up some of those nice draws, to bait the blitz in and then go right up the gut. And so with that offense setting up, defensively for Penn State, because Nebraska likes to also control the tempo offensively with Amir Abdullah running the ball, getting at least 100 yards pretty much every game this year. So setting it, tone, setting the rhythm on offense is big for this game.
Conversely, defensively, you just mentioned Abdullah.
Yeah.
How are they going to stop him? He's the focal point. Who on defense is going to need to step up to kind of halt that running game, would you say?
I think it starts in the middle with Glenn Carson, and then Daquan Jones in the interior line. Getting a good push off the ball. Beating Nebraska's big boys up front. Getting leverage and getting that push off the line will be big. Getting into the backfield, but they like to do a lot of these tall sweeps with Abdullah, and so containment on the outside with the defensive ends with Zettel and Barnes, and then even the outside linebackers with Hull and Klein's out, but those guys containing and making sure that he doesn't get really into the second level and do the damage that he can do.
Now, I found it interesting at the beginning of the press conference. Now, Bill O'Brien rarely does this, but kind of a plea to the students to kind of stick around before Thanksgiving break. Mm-hmm. What kind of attendance are you expecting? Again, Thanksgiving break starts this weekend. A lot of kids want to go home. What do you expect?
It's tough to expect a full student section. As much as this team would love it, as much as the senior class would love to go out with a full student section, and O'Brien, as you mentioned, he wants it. It's tough to expect, especially because it's a 3:30 game. Right. I think if it was a noon game, you'd have a lot more guys. People stick around in the seats because then they can leave after the game and be fine. But I think with a 3:30 start, it's kind of tough. And kids, honestly, they want to get home for Thanksgiving break, so it would be tough.
What are your thoughts on that? I mean, you don't have anything invested in this. You're part of the media,
right.
But the whole Thanksgiving break, Penn State's Thanksgiving break is a lot longer than a lot of the schools. Mm-hmm. Do you feel that the kids should stay here, or what are your thoughts on that?
I think they should. Whether it be with the whole stick around for these seniors, they stuck with us, that whole mantra. Right. Regardless of that, I think that Nebraska's coming here. Nebraska's a good team. They're 7-3. Yeah. I don't know why you wouldn't want to stick around and see a good football game.
Now, this game, it is a toss-up. It's here at Beaver Stadium, which is the one advantage that Penn State has against the Cornhuskers. What do you see happening? I know it's Tuesday. I know it's early, but if Penn State's going to be able to get a win in this game, what are they going to need to do, in your opinion?
To get a win against the Huskers, they're going to have to contain Abdullah, which hasn't really been done this year. The lowest rushing total he's had this year has been 98 yards, so he's making an impact regardless. But making sure that that the offense of Nebraska,
Alabama, Oregon, Boise State. I think those teams like their coaches. There's a touchdown.
Play action pass a lot. So it starts defensively with Penn State, and they're obviously going to have to score points too, but it starts on the defensive side of the ball.
And what surely will be an emotional scene here at Beaver Stadium at 3:30 on Saturday when Penn State takes on Nebraska. This was the last press conference wrap that we'll be able to do due to Thanksgiving break. So John McGonigal, the Daily Collegian, thanks so much. And thanks so much to you guys for joining us.
Yeah,
Daily Collegian does a great job covering Penn State football. For the Center County Report, we'll have a full game preview of Penn State, Nebraska on Friday. For Willie Jungles and John McGonigal, have a good day.